Today we're going to be adding seashells to my 125-gallon African cichlid tank. The reason why we're doing this is because 1, the shells just look amazing. 2, it helps buffer the water to make the African cichlids feel like they're at home in their natural habitat, which we'll talk about. And 3, I just want to. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to show you the seashells right now. But first, this is the 125-gallon African cichlid tank. It's the largest tank I have in my bedroom. And it's one of my favorite tanks that I've had set up for like the longest period of time. In this tank, we have 3 different species of African cichlids that I just really love, and I've been waiting a long time to get them, and now they're in here. So the 2 species are Madoka white lips, which are these beautiful big blue cichlids right here, and this guy is not even near full grown. He's gonna get double in size over the next few years. And then we have yellow labs or electric yellows, which are also called Labachromis corellis, I believe. But these are these yellow guys here. And as you can see, they've been breeding like crazy because there's like tons of them all over the tank. And then we have another one, which are these albino Brashardi cichlids right here. And they're also called fairy cichlids, one of my favorite. Now all the catfish, which I'm going to show you guys when I feed them, tend to hide a lot, and they're also called multipunctatus cuckoo catfish, and then another one is called petricola, and then another one is called angelicus, and the angelicus catfish is actually sitting in this shell right here. So another great reason to adding more of these shells, as you see here, is to help the fish hide and feel comfortable in the tank, because the babies can hide there. I don't do anything to save the babies or make sure that all the fish are like making it, other than just providing enough natural habitat. And over here you can see a baby hiding right there underneath that shell, and then the plants right here. So these are the shells I'll be adding. I found more of them while hiking on a trail, and they just naturally turn green from what's in them and the algae, which is all okay. So if you didn't know, these cichlids originate from Africa, and more specifically Malawi and a lake in Malawi. However, the catfish that I showed you guys over there in the back of the tank, those are from Lake Tanganyika, as well as these Brashardi cichlids. And now they all do pretty well together. And then in Lake Malawi, you have 3 different species of like cichlid that originate there, or genus, however you want to call it. I'm not sure the technical term, but you'll have Mbuna, which is pronounced Buna. Then you have Haplachromis, which are the bigger African cichlids that swim at the top of the water and tend to eat and prey on the Buna, which means like rock-dwelling cichlids. And then you have peacock cichlids, which are the Alanacaras, which are the pretty males. And I don't have any of those, except these guys are called a type of hap, and then the yellow ones are a type of Mbuna or Buna. And then I think this guy is actually from my old fish that were in here that was a baby, and he's a type of Alanacara or peacock cichlid, like a hybrid of those. But you can see how beautiful they're getting and how big they're getting and how many babies there are. So let me go show you the shells that we got for this tank. So all these shells are right out here. What I did was I soaked them in some water and then rinsed out all the dirt that was inside them. And then I also just let them out here to dry and get sun so that they didn't have anything else in them. Now, I wouldn't recommend putting shells in any of your other freshwater tanks because it can increase the pH in the tank, and because African cichlids like a higher pH from the lakes that they come from, this is all okay, and it shouldn't affect the water in a negative way. The water already is buffered by the substrate I have there and the shells I already have. But just be careful doing it to any of your other tanks because it will alter the water chemistry, especially with more sensitive fish. You don't want to just be dumping shells like this into the tank. But let's go ahead and grab this bucket, water, and then let's go ahead and round up our shells. And I surprisingly found these shells on a trail here in Florida, which I think they were using them as a pathway and with a bunch of other crushed shells. And I found these awesome looking ones just like in the dirt. I like getting different sizes because it also just makes the gravel and texture of the sand very, natural looking in appearance. Now, I'll be honest, I don't actually know if there's shells in Lake Malawi naturally. I just know there's a lot of rocks. And then in Lake Tanganyika, there are shells that some of the small cichlids hide in. So not 100% sure. But either way, I'm making this tank look very coastal in terms of like being by the beach. I removed the tops from the tank. If you guys want to see what the fish look like from above, they know I feed them from this little corner here, so they get all excited, and we will feed them in this video. Let's get these shells in so they can get comfortable, and then we can go ahead and feed them. What I'm planning for the shells is that this area looks a little empty with no shells. There's a lot here, so I'm going to try to spread these out. and then add some shells back there. They do turn this interesting green color, and I can't tell if I like it or don't like it. Comment down below if you guys like how they're turning green. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way that the algae that's growing on them. All right, we got all the shells in, so let me go ahead and show you. The shells are gonna look a bit off because they're not full of algae and they're just bright white, but that's okay. So let's go ahead and take a look. I did my best to make the shells look natural in whatever way I could by just placing them randomly. But as you guys can see, I put some back there to give more of this like slope, and then some over here, and then leading into the front. I also put one over here, which I think looks nice. And then I spread out these shells at the bottom. And then I added more to this pile to just give it really more of a rocky structure. And then I added some there and one over here. You really can't see this side of the tank because of the glass there. But then we take a step back. It's a little bit cloudy because of me moving everything. I think it looks more natural and more busy and full, whereas before it was really empty in the middle. And we only really notice how bright and like imposing these new shells are because they're just newly added. And once the algae and they settle in the tank and the fish start moving around the sand, which they do quite a bit, like over here you can see how sandy it is because a lot of the food has fallen here and the fish just pick up all the little rocks and move them. And also the fish have been breeding here, so the fish will like move around some of the substrate. You can see him picking out in between it. The shells will get buried, unburied, move around. And that's all perfect because then it'll make it even look more and more natural. Let's go ahead and put the tops back on, wait a couple minutes, and then we're gonna feed them, and you're guys gonna see all the fish going crazy for all the food I put in, so stay tuned for that. Also, I don't know if you guys remember, but in a couple of videos ago, I got a new eel, and he doesn't really come out much, and we're still working on learning to hand feed him, but he has all the shrimp in here that he eats and tons of snails that he doesn't eat, but he just hides in this coconut all day. And if we move his little coconut, you can see him right there. He's looking healthy, no signs of like any sickness or anything. I'm sorry, guy. And he's probably eating the shrimp because he doesn't look very skinny at all. So he's doing well. Go back into your little cave. But I think I need to get rid of the shrimp in this tank to really try to hand feed him so he gets a little hungrier, so he's more willing to come and eat from the tweezers or my hand. But that's for another day. Now let's go ahead and start feeding these cichlids because they're all settled in and it's time to eat. But you guys can see how excited they're starting to get. The tank's still cloudy from moving all the rocks and things, but that's okay. We're gonna just dump some in. And I do feed quite a bit because there are quite a few fish in this tank because of all the catfish. But you guys can see all the food is falling, the fish are out and eating, and they're going through all the shells we just put in. Hopefully the catfish will start to come out as they get more comfortable. But I did shock everybody by putting my hands in there and moving everything. So we're just gonna wait a bit as all the fish really start to come out. The catfish are still hiding in their little cave over there, which I love so much. Oh, there they come. There are like 3 of them. Are they gonna come out? Nope, they go back in. Okay, I'm gonna take a step back, so hopefully they come back out. And in another video, you guys saw this tank and how I rehauled it. It's looking so much better now, really getting much improved, and that's doing well. Catfish, still not out. Now, I really do enjoy how the fish look when they are feeding around the shells, because I think it's gonna help them feel safer, that there's more shells to swim in between instead of just 2 giant piles. They have like now little, you know, safe spots they can dart to. One catfish is out, one of the smaller ones. Fish are definitely a bit stressed yet hungry, so we may not see all the catfish come out today. But if you guys are enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe down below. I'm gonna be uploading so much more, and I really appreciate all of you. We just hit over 1,000 subscribers, and I'm so excited to see what more we do in this fish room, so stay tuned. There's a catfish. So the catfish are really, really smart, and they know that the food gets stuck in the leaves, so they'll go all the way up there and then get it down, and while all the other fish are like worried about the food at the bottom. These Burchardies, they are a pair, yet I haven't seen any babies from them yet. I think there's too many predators in this tank for any of the babies to survive, especially all these catfish. The Burchardi cave is right there, and their catfish cave is right there. So they normally come out as the whole school of catfish, but I really think they're spooked. So it's okay, today they may not come out, and they're just gonna eat the food that landed next to them. If you guys wanna see the video where I got my eel in that tank down there, make sure to watch this video right here. Thank you so much and have a great and beautiful day. You are awesome, and remember that.